Hey everybody, this is Flute Talk Podcast with me. I'm Nick.
And I'm Amélie.
How's it going, Emily?
Very good. How are you
Good,
doing?
good. So yeah, it's been a crazy couple weeks with stuff.
Yep.
We won't get into
Like
that
always.
yet. You have a little toy there if you're just listening in on this on podcast. We have some stuff to show, but we'll describe it. But yeah, so yeah, we had a couple videos come out. We did that one video about the thing that kind of blew up a little bit. About the can you hear the difference flute thing.
Yeah.
Also, we did that flute documentary about flute repair as well with Twig Music.
Yeah.
Both were at Twig Music.
Overall. My flute got overhauled.
Yeah, and now your flute's spick and span now, which is pretty awesome.
Like new.
Yeah, it's like new. So, yeah, we're going to answer questions today. We have a whole list of questions here today, and we're also going to check out the live stream chat once in a while and see what you guys have. If you have any questions, be sure to leave it out in the comment section below. This is sponsored by Duracell, clearly. And so we're gonna do sort of about, I think it's gonna be about half hour, 45 minutes, and then you're gonna do the first movement of Hindenburg Sonata just after, as well as a different live stream for practicing with family.
Okay.
Type of thing. It's just gonna be, back to back, get it all done.
Okay.
Because we didn't have a podcast last week. And the week before, we were supposed to do a podcast in New York, but we were...
Last week, didn't I do the chaminade?
I think you finished chaminade. Yeah, you finished chaminade last week, I think. And then you also... But the week before, we were in New York filming. That's why we were also busy as well. We were filming in New York several episodes with the Flute Center of New York.
Yeah.
And that was like...
Reviews.
Yeah. We were going to do a podcast there, but it was just like that day was so long. It was impossible. It was impossible to do. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. Like I said, we're going to open up the live chat. Everyone's saying hi. Rachel Johnson says hello. Butterscotch says hello. Irvin Moreau says hello. A lot of people say hello.
Hello.
Rachel Johnson, hi. Great. And something a lot better I'll recommend. There's a lot of stuff here already. Let's do one from... we'll do some from the comment section. And we'll also... Hello from Argentina as well. And a lot of people from everywhere, which is always great. But we had a question a couple days ago from Melody Yee. Well, I thought this one was really, really cool to talk about because I think a lot of people go through this problem a lot. How do you balance school and music? Because her parents, or I'll talk in her, like it was her talking, because my parents want me to expect me to go into something super academic in university. I'm taking some pretty intense courses in high school. I'm in grade 11. And I take gifted physics, chemistry, biology, comp sci, English, math, and French, and will probably take the same in grade 12. It's hard to balance this workload with music. The problem with this is that I want to go to music school. I'm not good enough yet. And I'm playing a huge game of catch-up, and every day I feel I'm not catching up fast enough, I've been trying to be more efficient, learning how to learn fast, prioritizing all that stuff, but sometimes it feels too much no matter how efficient I am. I know that I can always be more effective, but I also feel like actually becoming that effective will take too much time. I also know that waiting after high school and then applying is fine too, but if I don't make it right after high school, then I'm probably forced into another field, most likely some sort of science. I'd rather avoid that conflict, but just making it I'd rather avoid that conflict by just making it the first time. I want to maybe take an easier course or spare next year, but I don't think my parents will let me, since I basically need all these courses for any academic field according to my parents. Do you have any suggestions on how to lessen my workload? Do I cut some corners? Although that's hard because all learning is based on previous learning, so slacking equals death, ? Do I convince them that her parents that I need to take a spare next year? Thanks so much for reading.
What's a spare?
Like a spare class, like an empty period.
An empty slot
Empty
where
period,
you can
study or do stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I can keep that there.
Ah.
So yeah, how would you think about that? Because I was really thinking about that because there's so many people that are in that type of situation, and high school it's very demanding.
Yeah, I think more and more, that's a whole society thing. Right there, like the pressure we put on kids.
Yeah, pressure we put on kids. It's true.
It's intense because we have less and less kids. So all that energy we put on one or two, that you know, I don't know. It's not easy because, well, the first thing is when you put goals for yourself, you have to make sure they're attainable goals, because it's not true that you can always be more efficient, because you need a balance in your life if you want to stay healthy, minimally.
I mean, yeah.
You know,
Oh
you
my
need to
gosh.
have time to socialize, have friends,
Absolutely.
and relax, and also rest. And you can't learn if you don't sleep well, because when you sleep, your brain gets rid of a lot of toxins. You don't sleep. Am I too far from the microphone?
Yeah, it should be right underneath. It's all good. You're good.
I'll move a little bit. I thought I had to move this other way.
You're all right.
Okay. Sorry for that.
It's also a balance.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
you're good.
good
Yeah,
here?
you're great.
Okay. So yeah, it's a very tough question, because it's not just you deciding. As I understand it, it's your parents.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a difficult.
Just a bit more. There you go.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I always feel a bit stuck, you know, in those types of questions, because I don't want to go against the parents either. But like, it looks like it's a lot for her to do all those things.
Right.
And she has her own aspirations that might differ from her parents' aspirations.
There's definitely a lot of conflict, you know, like it's because, you know, like you said, the parents want something, she wants something. Maybe she should communicate to them that this could be my chance. I could try to, not her chance, like her chance to get into that type of school. So why not take that? Because academics are like real world academics. Like you can get into a science degree in university at almost virtually any age. You know, like she could try the music and music too as well. But I mean, if that's where her passion lies, why not try it? Why not? I'm not saying stop all those other things, but like, you know, because right now she seems like she's stuck.
Well, it seems like she wants something, her parents want something else.
Yeah, like,
and there's probably some insecurities there. Sometimes we feel like the decisions we take when you're 16, 17 when you're
Right.
it's for your whole life, you know, and it's never, you can't go back, you know. That's where but it's true and it's not, because you can do changes, but you can also become a musician without going to music school, and you can enjoy music and not be a full-time musician.
Right. Because
there's many ways to do it. There's other ways than university, and you can do a minor.
Yeah, you can do a minor in music,
or whatever,
or
and do
even
some other stuff. And also maybe you can check with your parents what type of, maybe they feel it's not a very safe work, you know, work choice, career choice, music. But there's different things. You can be a music teacher or a music professor. You can be music therapist. There's different ways to do it. Maybe you can sit with them and see
all the options, you know.
All the options, or you make a compromise. But I think also one of the part of the question is, how can I make myself more efficient at learning the flute, because she doesn't have a lot of time.
Right. Which is another, it's you know, maybe I don't know. I think I would say try to ask yourself, what are you already good at flute?
Okay.
Work on that a little bit throughout the day, but what are you not good at? Mm-hmm. That list is very long, but I mean, what is the most important things that is important to work on? So prioritizing what to work on, because some people they just want to practice what they're already good at. Well,
it's true. You lose a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you let's say you have problems with breathing, then you find breathing exercise and you put your focus on that for a little while, and then you go to another thing. Also, when you learn a piece, it's true, you get you don't need to practice from beginning till the end all the time. You can sometimes take the spots that are more difficult for you and practice those without going through the whole piece, or you lose a lot of time doing that. So that learning your scales and arpeggios and all those things, it's a good thing because it's it allows you to because 90% of the tonal music will be scales, arpeggios, scales and thirds, pretty much. So if you know those things when you want to learn a piece, it's going to be faster. Yeah, maybe you segment your practice. Let's say you have an hour a day. Well, you try to make it efficient, like 5-10 minutes of sound exercises, and then 5-10 minutes of scales, and then another 10 minutes of studies, so you can read music, and then the rest, which would be approximately 30 minutes on your pieces. And then, as Nick said, you get the tough parts to work on the most. That would be
a good start. Yeah. Cool.
But, yeah, maybe check what are your options, because it sounds like it's also about big life choices right now.
Yeah.
And
we were thinking about doing videos like that, about just how to kind of organize yourself. There is time management videos that you have. They're quite okay. Yeah. Like, they're good, but maybe they're I mean, they might be applicable.
It's true.
To those things. So, yeah. Okay, we'll jump to that's a very good question. We'll definitely most likely have more questions like that in the future. Like, there's a lot of people in that situation. We'll go through the chat now. There's a bunch. HJ says they have a recital tonight, and they had a dress rehearsal yesterday, and was so nervous that my fingers were shaking and my breathing was uneven and ended up playing poorly. How do you deal with nerves?
Well, there's many ways.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah.
So many different ways, and because everybody's different.
Sometimes when it's because I don't trust that I'm good enough, I imagine that I'm someone else. So I imagine that I'm someone I admire. I tell myself I'm someone else, and I'm just like an actor going and playing. Sometimes that helps. If it's because I feel I'm not up to the task, like I'm not good enough for that, I just convince myself that I'm someone who is. And then you can believe yourself. There's that. Then the breathing is what keeps manages all that, really. If you slow down your breathing, you'll slow down your heart rate, and then everything will slow down. So that would be something. So you can go and take a deep breath and block your breath there. Wait 10-20 seconds, breathe out, and then breathe slowly a couple of times and do it again. That will help. What you can also do is try to control your mind. Like, what I mean is, you have this voice in your head that just talks and talks and talks. And if you want to, if you don't get it busy on something, it's gonna do disturbing things.
Yeah.
So if that voice is bugging you, make that voice say what you want it to say. So have little sentences, like almost like mantras that you can go back to. So that voice you can't have two voices talking at the same time in your head. Well, I never had that. Usually it's one at a time, So it's what the Buddhists, they call it the monkey mind, the monkey
brain.
Monkey brain. Yeah, they say like, it goes like, you're not good enough. And you have to stop the monkey brain. But what I do to stop that is I go back to very down to earth things, like breathe, move your fingers, or imagining I'm someone I admire, or any of those things. But you can control it by giving it another task. That's the easiest way to control it, because if you try to make it just not talk, it's difficult.
That's very interesting. Yeah, that's a good way.
Or you go back to your
Yeah.
breathing. I hope that can help.
Yeah, there's so many different
Yeah.
ways. Like that's definitely it's a way that can work. You know, another way for me, like from, preparation.
Yeah.
Also, remembering that it's your moment.
But it's today, so preparation is kind of
Right, preparation's out of the question for today. But
Yeah.
so I was gonna say, like, it's owning the moment. It's now that is your moment to express what you're there to express for, which is yourself, not anyone else.
Yeah.
So that brings confidence, and confidence is very, very underrated. People, so that's what I always feel. I think if you have confidence, you could go through that journey of playing in a concert, that it's just that moment, you play it the best of your ability, and then you move on. Because it's just a representation of that moment, not a representation of who you are.
Yeah, sometimes you can think, you can visualize, because we put a lot of, we're very intense about what it is to play a concert, as if it was, as if we were doing open heart surgery,
Absolutely.
And you can visualize yourself in that little room, in that city, in the concert hall, in the city you're in, then in the state or province or whatever, and then in the country, and then on the planet, and then and they're like, okay, let's take a deep breath here. It's important for me, but like it's, but sometimes it's the ego that, it's tough, and also you have to check. I used to shake a lot, and it was something to do with blood sugar, I think.
Shaking, yeah.
Yeah. Just make sure you eat.
Have a banana before you get up there.
I don't do that.
A lot of people do that, I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For potassium or?
I don't know. I have no idea why. There was never any scientific backing to me that I've heard from people, but apparently it was effective.
Oh yeah, people say for the anxiety, bananas.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's magical, but I know that if you're someone who has that type of problem with blood sugar, might be But last time when I did a concerto a couple of weeks ago, I was surprised because I used to shake whenever I didn't eat enough. And I started to do
intermittent
fasting a couple of months ago, and so many things are better now. And the dress rehearsal went on longer than I expected, so I ended up not having dinner before the concert.
Right.
And I don't know, 10 years ago would have been
a different thing.
I would have been very nervous about that, because I would have been like, oh my god, I'm gonna shake because I'm
no
gonna
calorie,
be too hungry, and blah
no
blah
energy,
blah blah blah. I had a couple of nuts, so nuts are good because it's
it's solid,
it's
and
fat, and it's protein,
complex carb, all that good stuff.
It's good. So I had a couple of nuts, but it's not a full meal. But I had no problem shaking. So maybe some of it is also due to because I shake way less now that I do that, because my body can just use its fat. Like it's able to go from sugar to using its fat faster, I guess. But if you shake like that, it can be something to look at. If it's something to do with what you eat. Or
right. Well, I definitely like your ideas about the visualization. Ways to conflict before a concert, visualization type of thing. Visualizing in the talking about, and then like I said, there's so many different ways. And then what I was thinking, just like philosophy based, basically, and confidence based. Because I don't have a voice in my head when I play.
No?
Because I used to, because I meditate and all those types of things, but it's
probably because meditation is all about calming that monkey brain.
Yeah, totally. And
It's
just
all
being in the
about that.
moment. And
So
being in the moment, a lot of performers
it's also,
aren't in the moment.
you meditate.
Yeah, meditate as well. Yeah.
You meditate, so I think that helps you a lot for that.
So, because the moment you start thinking in the past, which is what playing is,
or in the future,
but most people, they remember what they just did before, which is the
oh
past.
no, I missed that.
Oh no, but no.
But also,
like that,
if you say, oh no, this is coming, and then you
that
tense
too,
up,
of course, yeah, there's that as well.
Whenever I have a passage that's difficult, that's coming, I consciously bring the energy down instead of tensing up. I go, But I remember I was playing the piano when we toured with Écoutez, with our group, and I was playing in in Fringe at Edinburgh, the piano, I was a bit nervous about because I didn't feel that I was
At the level or the standard that everyone expects
it's
to.
just a psychological thing. It's stupid, you know. I was totally able to play all those things, but I was a bit nervous about being better as a flutist than as a pianist and all those things. And then I just imagined myself being Martha
Being
Argerich,
B, just being B, just being
and going there and it
owning
works,
the moment,
you know?
owning the moment, yeah.
Because you're not yourself anymore, so your ego is not in the way because you're not you,
Right.
kind of, you know.
So hopefully that answers your question. Have a great recital.
Yeah.
If you let us know in the comments how it went and what you played too, I'd be curious what you were playing and stuff like that. We'll go back to the live chat again. Let's see here. Kiwi Flute wonders, I was wondering if you have any tips for flutter tonguing. I find it nearly impossible to focus the air when rolling R's. Yeah, well, we have the video, but like, you know.
Focus the air because you go in an open view and you, I guess that's what happens.
Yeah, because people want to know, and a lot of people want to know if they're doing. Yeah. Is there a focus of rolling the R's? Are you focusing much about it, or is it becoming? Because
I don't focus.
You don't. Yeah.
No, but she means focusing the air.
The air. Yeah. Right.
I just
Sorry.
play,
Yeah.
I play exactly like I usually play.
Okay.
I blow exactly the same way, and I just go in the back.
In the back.
But maybe start like and then no voice.
So you're doing what exactly there? Like where is?
Well, it's in the back of the throat. Whenever you say the
Go,
sound
go, go, go.
it's
Okay.
a bit just a bit further than ga.
Yeah,
Then you
you're
just
still
blow.
doing it right.
You know what? I'm just having an idea. I don't know if it would work because I never experienced it. I never tried it. But some people they learn circular breathing with straw. If you have difficulty focusing the air, maybe a straw and doing the while you're blowing in a straw would help keeping the lips together while you're doing that sound. I don't know. I would try that because it sounds like the lips are getting apart to do the sound. It sounds to me what she says is that, or he says, I don't know. It's tough to keep the lips together and do the R.
Right.
Maybe also it's because you don't blow enough. Maybe it's because you don't push the air enough. You don't support with your abs enough.
Yeah.
All the, not just the abs, but all
Yeah.
around your.
Yeah, it's about support and not blowing a lot of air. Because some people they supplement by blowing harder, which is not what you should do.
It's not the quantity.
Yeah, it's not the quantity.
It's how it's supported.
It's the quality.
Yeah. It's all about the quality
It's about
of the
the quality
support.
of the support. Yeah. So
Yeah.
maintaining that speed of air,
It
that way you can
might
think
be
about
that she doesn't support enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Could be. But the flutter tonguing video helps a little bit. I'm glad. Hopefully we added to that right now. I think those are all really good tips.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing with flutter tonguing because with certain languages, if you're an English speaker, you're not necessarily using
That
those
sound,
roll.
no.
Like Spanish people do, French they do that a lot. But that doesn't mean
French
you can't
is my
do it.
first language, so for me it was easy to learn. Never had any difficulty.
Because for me, flutter tonguing is different. I do
But
mine
it's
way
weird
different.
because Serbian uses R's, no?
No.
Because Serbian is your first language, but
Yeah, we don't do it that much.
you don't do the
No, we do dobro. Well, yeah, we do a little bit of it. But mine's more aggressive and more percussive.
Yeah, but it's not as stable.
Yeah, it's not stable. But like
Yeah.
flutter tonguing, it's a special beast, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's possible. It's completely attainable.
Yeah.
And I've always heard different types of flutter tonguing. So
When you gargle, you do everyone can gargle.
Yeah, yeah, whatever. Yeah. So hopefully that helps. Also, practice while you're walking around and doing
Yeah.
stuff, getting that action, walking down the street, waiting for the bus.
Maybe
You know,
it's the tongue as well.
mine's more tongue
Maybe
based.
no, but I
What do you
mean,
mean?
if your tongue is too high in your mouth, it might be more difficult to do the R.
Oh, maybe.
Try to keep your tongue low. Yeah, try to keep your tongue low. It might help.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're doing this, and it makes me want to say this morning we were talking about maybe doing meetups
That's right.
in the summer
Or during
or
the year.
whenever.
Yeah, whenever we have time.
Whenever we have time.
Yeah.
And yeah, we would like, because right now I'm saying something, but I don't
You don't have the
second part of teaching, which is
observing,
a person
right?
and then,
Observing and then replying,
yeah, and seeing if it works and finding another way
Right.
and all those things. So
experimenting like a laboratory, like a lab,
yeah,
like a master
really,
class lab,
it's like being a
exchanging ideas.
and we were thinking it would be interesting to meet people
Yeah,
in real life
right.
and have little classes like that.
yeah. So we're definitely gonna try to
And
do that.
yeah, we were wondering if it was something people were interested in, so we don't do it and no one shows up.
Yeah.
So
'Cause
yeah,
if-
if
yeah,
you're
if
interested,
you're
maybe
interested,
you can let us know.
Let us know where
and-
you're from,
Yeah.
or you can also find our email on the Flute Channel's YouTube page on the About. You can email us and tell us where you're from. If you're from or near a big city,
Yeah.
we're thinking about the Americas. You know, we know some places we generally want to go, like New York
Yeah.
and California, maybe even South America. But we
We'll
need to
see.
know. We need to know
Or
where
if
people
you,
are from.
or if you organize a group of people that are interested in having us, or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, we're open to that.
We're willing to work together about that. Yeah.
So then, just so we can know if it's something that would be a bit like this, but
But
we see each other.
we all see each other exactly,
Yeah.
and like we can
We
express
bring our
ideas.
questions and then we share.
Yeah, because we do that in the summer here as a festival, and people come to us. But I think it'd be great to also go out and have meetups with people.
meet
Yeah,
people,
meet
yeah.
people because it's fun meeting you, and we've had a bit of that already, and it's
Yeah.
always been good experiences.
Yeah.
So we're taking small steps forward to doing.
Yeah, we do it in Montreal in the summer.
Yeah,
Yeah, with the Montreal Flute Festival, but yeah,
Mhm.
we can more flute, more meeting people. That's interesting.
Oh, back to the fluttering thing. Vermont Counterpoint wants to know: you flutter with the tongue or with the throat?
With the throat.
With the throat.
With the throat, it's more stable than with the tongue. With the tongue, it's more percussive, but
But you lose the you lose the
not really.
stability. Because you said the throat is more stable.
Yeah,
right?
the throat is. I think the throat is the best one of the two.
Gotcha.
Except if you're really doing a different type that you want more percussive but shorter. Because if you want to do it for a couple of seconds, the throat, the tongue won't be able to sustain it as long.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I hear. You know, if I go with the throat, I can do it very long. But if I do it with the tongue, you know, it can't go non-stop. At one point, I don't know. And the sound is not as focused either. For me, at least. I think the throat is easier to control.
Here's some short little super questions, I guess. How do you play various scales on the flute?
Various scales?
Scales on the flute. I guess that means like how
do you learn them?
do you learn them? How do you play them in different ways? I guess there's like like in the
Okay.
Tapenot and Gobert book, like they show tonguing.
I'm
then
not sure I
slur-
understand the question.
It's super.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
How do I play them, or how do I learn them in a which
Yeah.
sequence I learn them,
Mhm.
or which scales I like Reichert or Tafanel and Gobert, or
yeah,
I'm not sure. Well, I'll see what
super
I think.
simple. Yeah,
So, when I teach my students, I try not to put all of them at once. I put one a week, or maybe
when first
one
starting
major
out,
and
gotcha.
one minor,
right,
you know.
right.
And then when they know them, I try to be like, okay, let's say they're beginners, I'll ask for those scale this year. You know, I make a list of the scales I'm going to teach, and it's only them. and then I make them learn them. And once they know them, sometimes what I do, I make them a little graph, and I write the name of the scale, and I write different tempis, different speeds for the metronome, and then whenever they do it at that speed, they can cross it and then go to the next speed, you know, so that they don't, because if you don't do that, you might always do the same scales. But if you do a graph and you do a little X, you know which ones you did, so you can go to the next one. Just a way of organizing how you learn them.
Yeah. That's good. Oh, that was a short little. That's good. Luna Diaz, Luna Diaz says, can you give tips on vibrato and changing from low note to a high note fast?
With vibrato, or
I
it's
guess.
two different questions?
It's in the same sentence, so I think.
Okay, so vibrato, we have a
great video about it. Yeah.
About that. Vibrato is a little change in the pitch. You can practice it with a metronome first. Just go and give little pulses.
Right, to a certain point.
You know, your air column goes a bit like woo 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 to give that, and then you can go a bit faster. I don't have my metronome here. I don't know where I put it, but by 2 and then by 3, by 4, by 5. I try to do different uneven things because you don't want to have a robotic.
No robotic. Yeah, robotic goat vibrato. Yeah.
Or robotic, even if it's not goat, but it's like, I don't know, any.
Because taste, that's not very tasteful to me,
you know?
as
no.
well,
No,
right? Like,
because it was not goatee. Like,
no.
Was open,
but
it was always 1 2 3 4 1 2 3. It was subdividing the beat. It's not interesting, so you have to be able to not vibrate fast, vibrate slow, so you can
vibrate in taste, vibrate it.
So let's say I.
Because like in that instance, in one of those parts, you held the note solid and then went vibratoed on that note at the very end a little bit, like not at the end.
And at the very end, I made it a bit faster, and then sometimes I decide to vibrate right away on the beginning of the note. Sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, recording yourself really helps because then you can kind of hear what you're doing. You're like, oh, I don't want to do that, and then you change it, and then that really helps.
The very most important thing is not to close your throat when you vibrate, because then it's gonna sound like this. And you lose your sound, and it's not agreeable. If that happens to you, just stop. Maybe work on your sound, work on opening the throat, and then go back to it. Maybe do it very slowly to begin, and make sure you don't close your throat. That's the biggest thing.
And that at the beginning thing you do, just like the practice of vibrato at the very beginning. That's a good ground level of being able to, I think, control your vibrato in any way. You know?
And then you can use it to express yourself.
Yeah, because it's a form of expression, not.
But if you don't know how to change the speed, or not
use it and use it on the
so
fly.
sometimes I do long notes with no vibrato, and then I do it with vibrato. You know, you just So you have all those colors at your disposal that you can use when you're playing after.
Is there? That's really good. Another question. Hernan Diaz asks, is there a way to study high notes in piccolo and flute without disturbing your neighbors? I would, for me, I would just practice the fingerings later. If it's at night, practice the fingerings and lightly blow in. And like, now don't even produce the notes, but just get the sensation. Like wolf tones is what I call them. Wolf tones. Yeah, ghost tones or wolf tones.
So you practice your fingers and you practice your tonguing. Everything is there. Even the support is there.
And your lip muscle memory is almost there too. Like your lip
That's
memory.
efficient. Yeah. But it doesn't practice your high notes.
No, it's just the last thing. Like those things you can work on when they're gone, when the neighbors are gone.
I had a neighbor in a very, very that's a funny story because I had an apartment in Montreal that was not very well insul-
Yeah.
insulated.
Yeah.
And was the lady upstairs in the apartment upstairs. She had a baby. That's not very funny, but that's whatever.
It's life.
It's life. And then
Like this
I
person.
think she was she didn't have her baby yet. She was pregnant, but she was not working anymore. So when she was working, she didn't know that she didn't hear me as much.
Right.
But now she was at home and she would hear me practice my piccolo. And I remember once hearing her shouting at her boyfriend on the phone like, I can't take it anymore. She's so noisy.
Wow.
Yeah, that was intense. But she had hormones of pregnancy and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
what we did, now we don't have that problem anymore
No.
in our house. But we, in an apartment that we had, we insulated a room quite well.
Yeah.
And the neighbors were not...
Complaining as much. Yeah.
Try to, if you have a small room,
Small
it's
room.
easier.
That's the small room is always easiest.
And then everything that's fabric, the thicker fabric is
the
what's
better.
gonna absorb the sound.
Yeah.
So you can either put like stuff like what
this stuff that we have here is
there.
super, super cheap. You can get it in North America, you can get it. It's
foam.
foambymail.org or foambymail.com. Super cheap, super good. You can get the thickest, and it's like,
Yeah.
you can get this many panels for like $50
And we had some
in any color.
everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
Like we had them on the ceiling,
Yeah.
on the walls, and we had thick in the windows. We had thick
curtains.
And I even had old curtains that I put
Yep,
behind my
behind
piano,
Yep.
so that it would absorb the sound.
And even underneath the carpet, if you have neighbors below you, we got this stuff from Home Depot, acoustic foam that you put underneath the carpet so that
it's meant.
it
It's
absorbs
not meant for that.
No.
It's acoustic foam that people use to put under when they make wooden flooring.
make it quiet.
And we got the thickest one, the one
Yeah.
that stops the most decibels.
Yeah.
And we put it under a carpet, and we bought a big carpet,
Mm-hmm.
and we made sure almost the whole room was carpeted.
Yeah.
So then we almost had no problem.
Yeah, almost none. Virtually none. So
And
you can do
bass
those
is
types of things.
what you know, if you want to practice your high notes and you have insulated a room, you won't have problems because the only thing that might still travel will be the bass.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and if
you
you
won't
want to
have that problem.
Yeah, and if you want to annihilate the basses and the highs, there's at this like same thing with this foam stuff. There's corner foams which actually are certain sizes that get rid of the high and low frequencies, and they're so cheap that you just put them in the four corners or the two corners of your room where you're playing in front of, and it just cancels that frequency. It stops there. It just doesn't have enough time to bounce. It's all science. So
Yeah. So if you have a small room, you might be able to take care of that.
yeah. So that's hopefully we answered that pretty well. There's a couple good ones here. I saw something about. Very good question. We'll take a couple more. Oh, I think I lost it. That's okay. Let's see what else is everybody else is saying. Oh. There's a lot. Okay. I remember seeing something that said, how do you... Oh, yeah. Rachel Johnson says, what is some advice for a professional career on flute and piccolo? There's so many different types of professional careers. Like,
Yeah.
so it's like, the advice is like, I don't know, for me, I would only say network as much as you can and find out, by networking, you get to find out what's really available out in the world. No, that's my, I can go further, but you can take the other half of that.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
There's so many careers you can do, and but she means
but
probably...
if you really
yeah.
want to be a flutist and piccolo player,
Yeah.
it's not that easy.
As a soloist, would you say as a
For-
soloist, or you mean like even...
No, I don't think
both?
she says soloist.
No, I think she just means like yeah.
The most obvious thing is to get an orchestral position, but that's not that easy because first there's a lot of people at those auditions. It's stressful. Like, I have to be honest, you know, I don't want to sugarcoat it, you know.
No.
It's stressful. There's a lot of people. very often it doesn't pay that well.
Yeah, that's really,
You know?
that actually is my biggest thing.
And when you're 16,
Yeah.
17, okay, now I feel like I'm an old lady being not very cool, but I just have to be
Mm-hmm.
honest about it. When you're 16, 17, you might think, I don't really care about money that much. And it might be true at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But one day you might have a kid, and then,
Or not. Maybe also you just don't have enough
or
money to pay
maybe,
your rent.
no, but what I mean is like, for me,
Life.
when I was younger, I'll just talk about my personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really care that much about money. Having I just thought if I have enough for myself, I don't have very big needs, doesn't matter. But then I had a kid, and then I thought, well, now it matters because I want to be able to give him what he needs.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So I'm just saying your life can change, and also your friends that chose different career paths might be able to afford things that you can't afford, and then that might be frustrating. Just just so it's clear that it's
Yeah.
not you can be lucky because there's luck, there's hard work, talent, and luck. They're
Yeah.
all there.
Yeah, and being
You
at the
know?
right place at the right time, and
Yeah, because you can work very, very hard and not be lucky or be lucky, and then you'll have different outcomes because it's yeah. So if you really want that, you'll have to go out and audition.
you have to go out
and
yeah,
be
do
ready
stuff,
also to not necessarily live where you are right
yeah.
now, because
be
you
willing
have to be
move.
open to go in wherever the work is.
Yeah.
There's a position that opens somewhere, you apply there.
Yeah, and
and
you might have to move
yeah.
there, or in two different places. Maybe you have to play in one symphony orchestra on one side of the state or
Yeah.
province, and then on the other you have to go back and
Yeah.
forth.
And some symphony orchestras pay well,
Yeah.
and some don't.
Yeah,
It's a whole,
Yeah.
But some people make it. Some people have a orchestral position and have a university position and make a good living with it. Some people
But a lot-
struggle their whole
yeah,
life.
but
a
a
lot
lot,
of people
don't.
struggle.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what it is. But there's also different ways to make
So
it
many,
for
yeah.
yourself. That's the traditional way, but you also have other ways where you can.
yeah. I would say it's the
Yeah.
traditional. I would say as we know it, the current state of it.
Yeah, it's like how
Yeah.
we usually saw
Yeah,
things
totally.
before.
Yeah,
But you if you like teaching, you can teach. You can also be. Some people start amazing things in their communities.
absolutely.
My ex piano teacher, it's a little community a bit further, like maybe
Yeah.
40 minutes
Suburban
from
town.
Montreal,
Yeah, suburban town. Yeah.
They started a big choir that's amazing, and she accompanies, and she
Yeah.
also manages it, and then she makes a good living, and she
Yeah.
has an interesting career because people come to their things.
Absolutely. Always
So,
full.
There's
Yeah.
there's all different there are all different ways of making it
Yeah.
that are not necessarily the way that we see right
Yeah.
when we
Oh,
think
yeah.
about being a flutist. But you could start something amazing
Yeah.
where you have a lot
Because-
of flutists and
yeah.
you conduct your flute choir, but you have to be creative.
Yeah, because in school you're kind of pushed down one path.
Yeah.
But in reality, I always thought of, and I think most people should be think about this, is that you go and learn whether it's a school or conservatory or privately. You're being given these tools, and you have these tools to do whatever creatively you wish.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we should be thinking about, instead of just be saying, you know what, you've got these tools. This is where you have to use these tools only.
Yeah.
But it's not that at all.
There's so many different ways to be a musician
Yeah.
and to make it work. When we were in Boston once, did we have a concert there?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We played our Project 3. We played
Yeah.
our music there.
And we rehearsed in a place. It was young. They were quite young, huh? And I was pretty impressed with what they did. They got a place, and they made a music school there. The guy was
in Cambridge,
in
Massachusetts.
Cambridge,
Yeah.
and the guy had a degree from Berkeley.
Yeah, Berkeley.
Berkeley,
Yeah,
Boston.
Berkeley. Yeah.
And
Berkeley School.
he had this place, and they had a concert hall that they could rent, but also a music school.
And
During the day, they thought, let's open a daycare
Yeah.
so we can use a space all the time. But the guy was not being in the daycare. He was just hiring people, and then he was a businessman and a musician. He was still playing, still teaching, but making things work for himself. But yeah, and as I said earlier, there's music therapy, there's music teacher in schools, and nothing like I teach music and I can still play. There's time in a day if you organize yourself, and it seems like you can if you have all those courses and you can do so many things at once. Well, it's the same in your professional life. Your day ends and then you can have other projects. And
Mm-hmm.
and then you also have people that have an amazing level as musicians who are lawyers and doctors, and there's so many different
Yeah.
ways, I think.
Mm-hmm. I just want to go back to the live chat again about the rolling the tongues, like flutter tonguing. Um, I don't know if we said that, but I think it's easier with the flutter tonguing if you speak those types of languages. But I won't say that it's impossible. Like if it's French language, Spanish language about flutter tonguing,
Yeah,
that it's inherently a little easier to roll the tongue, right?
I think
I think so, but I wouldn't think it's difficult in other languages. No matter what, it can be learned because a lot of people.
Everything can be learned.
Everything
I
can be
think.
learned totally. Because Vermont Counterpoint was saying he's French, or he or she is French. Sorry, I forget, but doesn't know how to flutter tongue. And can
No,
flutter
it's
tonguing be learned?
totally able to, because
Yeah.
I at one point I played what's that piece? It's amazing. Crumb.
Oh, the Vox Balan,
Yeah, Vox
the voice of the
Balena.
whale. Yeah.
You have to whistle.
Okay.
In that piece, the flutist has to whistle. I'm not very good whistler,
Mm-hmm.
so when I decided to play that, I practiced my whistling, doing
Mm-hmm.
long notes like every day for
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
5 minutes maybe,
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to whistle in
Yeah.
tune. And so if I was able to learn how to whistle, and then also in one piece I had to do the
Yeah.
the flutter tongue, but with the tongue.
With the tongue.
I was not able to do it. I practiced it. I learned it. You just
Yeah.
you have to keep. It's about not. It's about trusting that your body is able to learn it, and then just doing a little bit every day,
Super tiny.
without being
Yeah.
like, oh, I suck. I'm not good. No, no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
You're in
Yeah,
a
right.
process of learning.
Yeah. It's
Today,
right.
you're there, but you'll get where you want to be, but
Yeah.
not today.
Yeah.
It's just
And,
be
yeah.
proud that you worked on it.
Yeah.
That's enough.
Because it's the little victories. I always think most things are a series of little victories. Like
Yeah.
eureka moments can happen, but that's also a little victory. You can't just
Yeah, but
you know.
sometimes also you don't even have a victory.
Right.
You just practiced and you don't see the result, but
Yeah.
it doesn't matter
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
because your
Right.
body is getting there.
Yeah.
You have to just trust it
Yeah.
and be proud that you did the effort.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I had that problem with circular breathing. Same thing with me. Like circular breathing, like it was like something that was not achievable. I thought,
Yeah.
not achievable, but I got to a point that I got it okay enough that I need, so I could use it when I needed it to. But it wasn't like how everybody else learned it, and it might not even be at that high of an ability as somebody else. But I can still get to where I need to be because it took time. But like it
Yeah.
was a step by step by step
Yeah.
basis.
Because you trusted that you were able to get there.
Absolutely.
I think it's something in our society again that we are very much focused on the results
Mm-hmm.
instead of being focused on the effort. And it's okay to be focused on the results, but if it's too much, it's detrimental to the self-esteem. And like I read about that for kids. If you want them to have a strong self-esteem, it's not about achieving 90%. It's about it's being able to acknowledge, oh, you made an effort, oh, you progressed in this, oh, you way more than the result. And when you're learning the flute or learning anything, I think you also have to be more about the process
Yeah.
than about
Right.
the result.
Right.
You're in a process, because also you'll always want to be better. So you'll never get
Mm-hmm.
you will never get to a point where you say, I made it, I'm done, I'm amazing. Try to find someone who thinks they're amazing. First you'll think they're weird, Oh, I'm done, I don't need to learn anything anymore, I made it. No, your whole life's going to be a process. So if you're looking for the end, it's never gonna happen except when you're gonna die. You know, we're not aiming for that.
Mm-hmm.
So just enjoy the process more.
Mm-hmm.
I think would be something we could all try to do.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't know.
Awesome.
I have
Awesome.
this,
That's very
this
interesting.
morning.
Meredith Guitar. She wants to know: is there a specific order you would teach a beginner student the individual notes of an octave? For example, starting with a C.
If there's a way I teach that, yeah, I do.
Some people have already answered in the comments, but we can say
Well, I
something as well.
explained that your flute, let's say you play a C, the air goes out in the B key. So it means that the length of your tube is that. And as you make your tube longer, it gets one note lower. So then I would say you add your thumb, and then the air goes out there. So now you have a B. You add another finger, you have an A, and another finger, G, and then you go down the scale like that.
Okay.
So then you can learn all the way to E at least very easily without moving anything. C, D, A, G, F, E. That's how I start.
Okay. Yeah.
Sometimes I start with B because, yes, C is a very easy note, but it's a bit less stable for the fingers when you're a beginner and your flute is moving around. B, you have more fingers on the flute. It's a bit easier, but yeah.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And, let's go back. Hopefully that answers his question. Mikhail Mendez, or I can't pronounce it right, but he's a frequenter on our channel a lot, which is great. He's wondering if there are any exercises to get the fingers even when you play. At least for me, my ring and pinky fingers are terrible, whereas the others are quite fast.
Okay. What I would use is some rotation. So if you bend your arm and then you rotate your hand, you'll see that the muscles attached to your elbow, they're moving. And then you can go pretty fast for people who are watching. Like I can go pretty fast at moving my hand like this. That's something I use when I want to move my ring finger, especially because the ring finger, it doesn't go up that much. So what I use is I use my arm to do it. It's my arm. You don't see it that much because it's a very tiny movement, but I don't try to move my finger itself. It's more of a little arm thing that's going on there. And really, any finger can be helped with a tiny movement of the arm, but especially the ring finger. Then the pinky.
So you're just making combinations.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's a bit, you see, you can see a little bit of the rotation. You don't see it that well, but I feel it here.
Yeah, you feel it in that
here.
The
finger is moving, but the arm is how do you say it?
I don't know.
Assisting the finger. Finger doesn't work alone, and the more you try to just make the fingers work, the more you'll have pulling in your muscles, and you might get injured. So it's a whole system that has to work together, the arm and the fingers.
Interesting. So yeah, hopefully it helps Michael.
And then if you want to do exercises, you can do maybe a G1 in the...
Yeah, EG1, which is in Taffanel and Gobert, the book,
Yeah, it's a good exercise for... Yeah.
It's readily available now. It's public domain, so you can go to imslp.org and get it, at least the first page, at least a couple pages of it. Yeah. It looks a bit different than what we're traditionally, because it's like the whole book instead of like the the rectangular version.
It's like this
grouped in 5 notes, I think. Yeah. It's the concept of 5 or whatever, grouping it up and going up a couple tones up higher.
Because you can, once you get the I'm tired this morning. Once you get the not the word, but you know the motive.
Yeah, the motive. Yeah.
You just repeat it. So
Yeah.
start slowly, then learn just one
Yeah,
line.
one line. Yeah.
Just one line slowly, and then go a bit faster, faster, faster. Then learn another line. You
Yeah.
don't need to play the whole thing right away.
Yeah.
But then the point is to get it easily, you know?
And like also for me, when I was doing those things, after I did the first line, I'm like, oh, I get this. I'm just going to do it on the next system of notes. I don't need to look at the music anymore. I'm like, I understand. It makes it even easier.
By heart,
Yeah,
by
heart.
ear.
Yeah, by ear and
Yeah.
the notes, because I'm just like, oh, it's just this.
Yeah.
And it made it even easier.
And I would say start slowly.
Yes, always. Yeah.
So you're sure that, let's say your pinky is doing the right movements and everything. Take your time, because trying to skip just makes it longer in the end, because you have to unlearn and relearn. It's way faster to just learn once slowly, but learning the right way, you know.
Going back, that's a great question. So hopefully that helped. Vermont counterpoint again was we were going back to the neighbors thing. You know, when you're playing and disturbing neighbors, how do you manage to forget about these people who could be listening to you around your flat? I remember. I can say like I remember doing that. It's for me it was psychological. I remember in some of my apartments, I had a person literally on the next wall. I knew they were there all the time, so I insulated that wall like crazy, and it was my only room that I could really practice in, and it was a big room, so that was even more problematic. So I put a gigantic
almost a
blanket.
carpet.
Yeah,
It was
carpet.
almost
Yeah,
a
carpet on the wall. And so, but I've also done that in other places too. So it was, and then eventually when I spoke to them in passing, like I would say, "Oh, did you hear this?" They're like, "Nope." You sure? Because usually they're nice. People are nice about it. Either they're telling the truth or they're just gonna be nice about it. Because if it was really disturbing, most of the time they would tell you like, "Oh, it's a bit loud," so you can like just both get on the same terms, or say to them, "I'm playing between these certain amount of times." You know, have a communication with them a little bit.
But I think what the person means is also, how do you practice without getting nervous about people listening to you?
I know exactly. But
it's the same
it's
when
the preparation.
you're in university and you practice, and there's cubicles and people walk around and listen.
Or perhaps I've skipped my point though. It was when I put that curtain, it was like this subliminal, like, it's okay now.
Okay.
I can think, I'm like, oh, I put something here, it must be fine. So it helped me actually by doing something like that. But that's
a fear of being judged, I guess.
Yeah.
That's something, you know, we all have to work on. Even us doing things, you know, putting ourselves out there, people are going to judge. Some people, you know, it's life. But we always sound better on the other side of a wall. That's if some, you know, I remember in auditions, when I started having auditions in university, and I thought everyone sounded amazing on the other side of the wall, and then I thought I sounded terrible when I played, and then I won, and I was like, oh, I guess on the other side of a door, people sound better, because you don't hear all the little imperfections, you don't hear the little tonguing or the little crack or the so that helped me a lot, because I realized, oh, I shouldn't trust my judgment on that. So people are not going to be harsh as we think they are, because in the music world we're harsh sometimes. I think too harsh. Personally, I don't like that we're so intense on perfection and on results again, and you know. And but normal people might not be like not normal. Not that we're not normal. That's not a good choice of word. But
the general public at large.
General public will not have the same way of seeing things.
Because people, like we were saying last night, people want to just escape their life and be in a different moment. Like they want to experience. Yeah. They don't want to, you know. Anyways, that can be a whole different thing. Marcos Ruiz, we just talked about scales, but he says he's wondering what are some ways to learn scales. I've learned all of my major scales and natural minor scales. However, I would like to, or rather say need, to learn the rest.
What's the rest when you learn the major and minor?
So I guess different, well, I mean, like there's also, I would say like all the exotic scales, but also, you know, seconds, thirds, fourths, fifths.
Oh, the scales in thirds, the scales, yeah, of course.
Yeah, learn those.
You have all that in the Tafanel et Gobert.
Tafanel Gobert has most of them.
I would start with the thirds.
Thirds are pretty
then the
popular.
sixths.
Yeah, and then
Sixths.
sixths. Yeah, but if you feel like you do those and you feel, I always was told like do seconds, do thirds, do fourths, do those
Yeah.
little quick runs because those things are put everywhere. They're
scales
sprinkled
in,
everywhere.
you know, the scales in whole tones, like
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, because
But
that's
and
in
you don't
music.
have a lot of those. You
No.
have two. Because
Yeah,
after
there's only
it
two.
just comes
It just comes back.
to
A
the
circle goes
same-
back to
yeah.
the same thing. So
You have two to learn and you're done.
yeah,
But yeah, I guess that.
that's and which are the most effective? But I mean, which ways are the most effective? Well,
And also in SG4 are the same scales, but the
and
way
EJ4, yeah,
the
totally.
way they do it is kind of cool. So that's another way of doing the scales.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you have Reichert that also has another way, and all those.
Oh yeah, Riker.
they're
There's so many different
cool.
ones, and then we have a method that's coming out soon.
Yep.
That's going to have a lot of cool stuff.
Yep.
That's going to come out before Christmas, which is going to be great. So you have to take a look at that too. But there's ways. Just start with
Yeah.
something. But EJ4, yeah, that's good. Totally.
Just to come back to the point we had before,
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
I meant about the general public is that your neighbor will probably not be as judgmental
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
your flute colleagues or your teacher, or
Yeah.
you know,
It's almost certain.
it's almost certain that that
99.9%,
person will be
yeah.
more will have more admiration than judgment, you know.
Yeah.
And anyways, we should just do our stuff
Mm-hmm.
and try to
B. Pia Poj R. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Sorry. He says, I see myself in the mirror when I play. The blow doesn't come out of center of my lip, but a bit to the left, and that's my relax habit. If I try to center, I can't really focus the air. Any advice, any comment?
I think it doesn't matter.
I think it doesn't matter either.
You don't need to be
If it works,
centered.
don't fix it. Yeah, it doesn't have to be center. Doesn't have to be.
need to.
A lot of people have been successful
Very
that way.
great flutists.
Yeah, Ron
play
Paul
on
is
the
like
side.
that. Ron Paul did that.
My first teacher, amazing sound, amazing flutist,
Yeah.
played on the side.
Yeah.
Depends on your teeth.
Depends on a lot of
Depends
things.
on so many things.
Yeah.
If it sounds good and you have good control, don't try to make it centered.
Some parts of the muscles in the lips, also it could be something that just it's not evenly, so you just play that way. It's so many different things, so don't think it's
Doesn't
wrong.
matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Peter says, hi, Peter Forrest, Peter.
Oh, hi.
And he's wondering, he saw that you're using a thumb port. He uses a thumb port and a finger port. What are your
What's
thoughts?
the finger port?
Finger ports, I think, is probably the one over there, I think. I'm not
I
sure.
never tried this one. I'm going to try it.
Yeah. And what are your thoughts about these tools? Some people need them. Some people don't.
I wouldn't say I need it because I played without it for most of my...
And it benefits people later on in life, too. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, I bought one because I thought, oh, that's interesting. And I could make some of my students try it to see if they're more comfortable with it. So I bought it. And then I thought, I'll try it for myself. And
Yeah.
now I just love it. At first, I thought it was weird because it's made the distance between my fingers and the flute just a little bit different. But now I'm getting used to it. And I noticed that my arm is freer. And sometimes I used to have a little bit of pain. And it's gone. So, yeah. Might
Yeah.
not be for everyone.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good tool, and if you have, if you try it and it helps you, you should keep it.
Yeah, totally. For me, it's the opposite. But, like, because I was always taught... I had very bad... At one point, my posture was horrifying. Like, I couldn't... But then I was taught to do, like, the three-point axis, you know?
Yeah.
And have your flute float inside your hands with here, under your lip, your left index in the hand, and your thumb.
Yeah.
And you're able to, if you, for certain people, if you're able to lift all your fingers up and move around like that, most likely your shoulders will be going down. Everything is going to be less support in those areas, because when I was before that, I was using my elbows, shoulders, everything to keep the flute in
Because
check.
if your fingers are holding the flute, then they can't move freely.
Yeah.
So that's a big problem.
Yeah.
But it's exactly the same thing. It's just
Yeah.
that helps you with one of those points.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because here, look, it's. I was able to do it, obviously, because I played
Absolutely.
at a
Sure.
professional level without it.
Yeah.
But I think it's, for me, it's even
It's a
more
very
stable
interesting
with
device,
it.
and I see the complete rationale of how it works in its design, and it helps so many people.
Yeah,
It's great.
but I would like to try the other one. I think I'm gonna try it and tell you if I like it.
Yeah, we'll definitely. Yeah, we have a bunch of those types of things. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. About back to that making the neighbors. You know, it's more that Vermont Counterpoint says, it's more that they feel that they're going to get bored / nervous if I do scales exercises a lot. I'm nervous that they could get angry. Right. I see. I see.
Maybe you can just do your scales with no sound, like what I said earlier, like this.
Mm-hmm.
You can
The
even
scale,
tongue.
yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so good. It's true.
You can practice
Wow.
all your stuff.
That's really true. Yeah,
If you
can
do
it,
your
yeah.
scales like that, you know,
Yeah.
so you, if it helps you. But
Absolutely.
if you soundproof it well, shouldn't be a big deal.
Okay, we're gonna do one last question, and then we're gonna jump over to the just practicing
Yeah, or
in a little
maybe
bit.
just practicing later during the day. I'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's gonna be another complete other episode.
Yeah.
Let's see. I remember seeing one that was quite amazing. We have so many that it's just like, yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's about head joint. It's about terminology in flute playing. Resistance. This person has heard resistance described as more resistance equals you can push the note harder before it cracks. Free blowing. They've heard this described as easier to get notes out, but easier to crack them if you don't have a precise airstream.
Okay.
I've also seen both terms described opposite of this.
Okay.
How does, and then are these even can you tell us anything about the characteristics of a head joint simply by looking at the whole shape? And how do you consider those?
Well, the
Those
head
types of
joint
things.
thing you should.
I can take care of that.
take care
Yeah,
of that.
there's with the resistance stuff. I think you could really talk about that because in that video we did previously, but can you tell the difference? You know, there's a lot more than just hearing the end result. There's resistance in the head joint. The
Yeah, some people say that.
Easy
Let's say you have composite material for your flute, like that
Oh.
it's not sterling silver. There's less resistance, so it's gonna be easier to
Yeah.
make it sound good. But
Right.
if you have sterling silver, it's gonna be more resistant, so you have to be a better level to make it sound good or whatever.
yeah.
I don't know. I know that some physicists say it's complete.
Yeah, bologna sandwich.
That it's not possible that it would make a difference.
Yeah.
So I don't know, you know.
Yeah, it's about material, sort of, but to a certain extent, like diminishing returns, like we were talking about. I mentioned to you today. Somebody said the law of diminishing returns. If the flute is made out of copper nickel, which flutes were made out of for a long time, most flutes ever made were made out of this material. That type of flute tended to be a little darker, but it still was very bright and had a bit of mix of both. That's why like Marcel Moïse played on one of those types of flutes and always played on one of those types of flutes. And in fact, I think he even played on a brass flute, which is, you know.
Was it heavy?
Yeah. The small, not the brass one, the other one. It was really
Yeah.
dense. The brass one, I never got a chance to try those. But, and then silver tended to be more bright. And then gold tended to be more dark.
But I don't know about resistance.
Yeah,
you know?
the resistance to it is but really the resistant part was kind of all about inside the head joint when it's undercut a specific way to a certain extent.
Because for me, the flute is an instrument with no resistance.
Right, I know.
That's
Yeah.
you know.
I know. That's what
So
I was literally
always
going to
think
say.
That's weird.
It is weird.
Because for me,
yeah.
the flute has no resistance, and that's the difficulty of playing the flute. It's that because it has no resistance. Let's say a trumpet, you have resistance
Yeah.
with your lips, or a clarinet, you have the resistance. So you have to support the airstream, or you won't get a sound.
Yeah, because you're
On
working
the
with a
flute,
machine.
you have no resistance, so
Yeah.
you can play with no support, and you will get a sound. Not
Yeah.
the best sound,
Yeah.
but you will get a sound. So you have to consciously force yourself to support and to put the resistance in your belly, so you don't put it in your lips.
Yeah.
Because the instrument doesn't give you resistance.
Doesn't-
You
yeah.
have to create your own resistance.
Yeah.
That's what's so difficult about
Yeah.
it. That's what takes time to really impregnate
Yeah.
in your body,
For the flute. Yeah, absolutely.
because so many people put resistance by closing their throat or by closing their lips too much,
Yeah.
instead of with their belly by pushing the air with
Yeah.
resistance.
That's why I want to do that test next time about blind tests on just
yeah, if we can feel the difference.
if we can feel the difference.
Yeah, we have to do that
because
soon.
that is exactly that, and I think a lot of people forget that, and a lot of people put a lot of
Yeah.
pop words in
Yeah.
front for
Because-
those types of things.
yeah.
Because really, it's that. You're
And
right.
plus, the flutist will make this flute sound.
We are the
more-
reed. We are the mouthpiece,
Yeah.
not the instrument.
So, you know, if I take a flute, I'm going to make it sound like me, because it's my body that resonates with the flute. You know,
Mhm.
it's my way of blowing, it's my lips, it's my
Yeah.
face that has, like, it goes with your
Yeah.
voice and all those
Yeah.
things. And, yeah, but how you feel will be interesting,
Mhm.
because it's,
Yeah.
does it get easier? Does it get,
Yeah.
Like free blowing. What's that, free blowing?
I
It
guess that means like to get the notes easier to come out. You know.
Okay, but if it's easier to come out, then you'll get more crack notes.
But easier to crack if you don't have the precise airstream. You see, a little bit of like, yeah, I think that's not the case. I think like crack notes happen because there's a something went wrong in the airstream or
Yeah.
somewhere else and stuff like that.
Or in the
Nothing to
lips,
do with
or,
the
yeah.
instrument, unless you literally
You
missed the
closed your-
finger. Like,
yeah.
yeah. That's it. I think those are
I know that
real.
some
yeah.
head joints are
Yeah.
sending the air in a specific point,
Yeah.
so that it's easier,
It helps. Yeah.
and it makes less crack notes and
Yeah.
those types of things, because your air is sent
To a specific
to a
point.
specific point. As other head joints are more open, you can send the air
Oh yeah.
where
in
you want.
180 degrees.
Then you might crack notes a bit more.
Yeah.
But you also have more color palette, because you can choose where you put your air, and then you can get different types of
Different
sounds.
types of sounds. Yeah.
That's what I know about it.
Yeah.
But my knowledge is
general-
not that vast on the subject. But that's what I
Yeah.
know about that. I don't know about free blowing. Free
Yeah.
blowing wouldn't have anything to do with the flute, because it's you that is blowing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because like that's the thing with like, and somebody did mention this in the comments just now, La Frec and What If I and all those things, because when we say, and I truly believe that when you said it, we are the resistance, but like say those types of things, a lot of instrumentals like brass players use those types of things, but that's because there's already another there's resistance on the instrument itself. So when you put some other type of metal on it, it does things scientifically. There are people who have done research on brass instruments and say that that thing works, and there is a change. But when there's instruments that have no resistance and you're the resistance alone, nothing happens almost. Mm-hmm. That's what physicists say.
Yeah.
And I'm still it's very interesting what they
Yeah.
do, and we've looked at stuff like that similarly, but we never tried La Frec. But I've seen research studies for brass players of that instrument by physicists in different places, and it works for instruments that have
Yeah.
resistance. And when you
It's
said that,
always,
it's so true. Now I just cross-related it together. I'm not saying it doesn't work for flute, but because I've never tried it, so I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So our thoughts are indifferent on it, really, right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, even when you try it, you never know. Is it the sound is different because I blow differently, or is it it's always a bit difficult to.
Yeah. We've got something special in store soon. We're gonna do like that blind thing, and see how that all works. But yeah. So I think
And
we'll end it.
about there was a part of the question that was about the head joint and the shape, the whole shape.
Right, the whole shape. Okay, so which was like, yeah, that
Like there's oval
Okay.
and there's square.
There's
and
oval, square, there's undercutting, which means at the very bottom of where the hole ends, there's another circle, and people smooth out and take out metal as well to make the air either faster or slower or smoother, whatever type of words you want to make. Basically, just kind of
That's how
it's exactly
we
like
have
wings.
a little bit of resistance in the
Sort of,
like,
yes. That's
sort
our.
of,
It's super small. It's like 1%
yeah, it's
resistance.
not a
It's not like a
trumpet.
reed. It's not like a
Clearly
reed
not
instrument,
trumpet,
a trumpet or
yeah,
clarinet or
clarinet.
bassoon,
Yeah, yeah.
where they
Yeah, where they have
painstakingly build reeds.
Two, yeah, and there's two little things
Yeah,
that need to
but
vibrate.
like this
and-
all the time, you know.
Yeah.
So us, it's very very different. And like you were saying about those wings are an addition. Basically, those wings are those things that are also on the side of your flute that you see little smoothness on them. Those are the same things. They're doing and achieving the same things. So
But one is a bit more. than the
yeah,
other.
one's above it, so it's actually taking the air again, and putting it in, and then recirculating it again, and taking it out. Like it's doing an extra thing. And some people like it; they're orthopedic. Some people call it the orthopedics of flute head joints. But to a certain point, it like I said, I did that with my head joint to a certain, because my head joint was not. In short, my head joint was not cut to standard. It had a different type of cut, so I was like, I don't like this. So I got a jeweler's. I forget
I
what
would
it's called.
say
Smoother.
don't
Don't
try
try
this
this
at
on
home,
home because I've
because you were trained?
I was trained. So this
Yeah.
but I smoothed it out because you have to be willing to trial and error on it. If you're
Yeah.
not, don't do it
Yeah,
because you only get one shot,
Yeah.
and it can make it worse. So best way is getting a dud, a cheap flute from a. My advice, if you ever want to experiment about it, go to a pawn shop, get a flute for $50.
Yeah.
Experiment on that head joint until your heart's content.
Yeah.
But yeah,
As long as it's not like when I was little and I would cut my doll's hair. It
right.
was not even, so I would cut more.
Yeah, you don't want to do
Like,
that.
oh no, again.
again.
Oh, and then you don't have a head joint.
You're like, oh, I don't have anything to play anymore. Oh crap. So yeah, but it doesn't cut is about 20% of what could change on like cut on a flute. Like I've seen super standard cuts, and I've seen Cooper head joints with cuts, and difference is not more than 20%. Personally, in my experience,
yeah.
in my life.
But I think
But it's
a
more
lot
the
about how
player.
you feel and how you're gonna sound in the end, because you know what sound you want to make. So you'll get there if your flute is to a certain level.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think we'll end it on that for today's podcast.
Yeah, I think we had other questions.
Oh,
but
so many. But
we'll do another
yeah, we'll
one.
do another one
We'll
in a
keep
little bit.
them.
Like I said, we do the Flute Talk podcast every other week.
Yeah.
We try to do that. And we're going to try to update it on the iTunes right now. We're trying to get it back on iTunes. It is on iTunes, but only a certain amount of episodes. And if you have questions or comments, and if you're watching this or listening to this after it being streamed live, be sure to leave comments over on the YouTube channel.
Yep.
And we'll get to add that to our list of questions and comments. You can also join us in the conversation through any of our videos. You can also go on Reddit on the Our Flute subreddit, which is a great little community of flutists as well, and where we participate in conversations. Also on our Facebook. The Flute Channel Facebook page is also a place where you can get in contact with us, and our Instagram and our things like that. So, yeah, I'm Nick.
And I'm Amélie.
And we'll talk to you guys next time. See you.